Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing the YouTube made me buy it tag. I know that I'm kind of late to the game on this, but I've watched so many videos about this and I just thought it looked like a lot of fun. Because I started loving makeup because of YouTube, a lot of my purchases were inspired because of people's videos and the amount of hype that products received on YouTube. But yeah, I have quite a few products to talk about today, so without further ado, I'm just gonna jump right into it. So the first product I'm gonna talk about is a given, and that is because it has been in everybody's videos because it is one of the most hyped products I think has ever been on YouTube. I think when you think of super hyped product, you think of this, and it is the original Urban Decay Naked Palette. I remember I started watching YouTube when I was a sophomore in high school, and I just remember being so infatuated with this palette. Everyone that I watched was loving it, would rave about it, and it was my first ever Sephora purchase. I remember I purchased it for $48 off the Sephora website, and I was so beyond excited. I was completely enamored with it. My mother thought it was absolutely crazy, but it's still so well loved and so well used by me. 5 years later, I'm still absolutely obsessed with it. It is probably one of my favorite palettes in my collection, if not first and second, but I love it so much, and it is definitely my favorite naked palette. Next up, I have another Urban Decay product, and that is the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. I remember this also was super hyped along with the naked palette. Basically, if you were gonna get the naked palette, you had to get the primer potion to make it stay on your eyes. I loved the original packaging because it looked like a real potion bottle. This is fine. I just remember getting kind of disappointed when they released the new packaging. Yes, you can get more out of it, it's just not as fun. But yes, I just remember thinking I have to get primer potion, no other primer will do. And to this day, I still love this one most. This one and the NARS one are probably my top two favorite primers. I've never really used anything that works better than them, so it was hyped for a reason. So now I'm going to talk about a whole range of products that I was introduced to because of YouTube. I remember I would see the stores all the time. I would see the counters all the time, but I was kind of intimidated by it a lot, and that is MAC Cosmetics. I just remember it just looked really scary. Sephora looked pretty intimidating to me, but MAC looked scary. And pretty much all of my initial MAC purchases were inspired by YouTube. I didn't really make decisions on my own. It was pretty much just okay, this person says I need this, so I'm gonna get this. So I'm not even sure where to start with this. I guess I'll start with lipsticks because my first ever MAC purchase was a lipstick. I don't have it with me because I think it's gone now. It's the Viva Glam Gaga. I wasn't inspired to buy that particular shade by any YouTuber or anything. I just remember I was on the MAC website because of YouTubers talking about MAC, and I picked the Viva Glam Gaga because I just really liked the pink. But yeah, everything else kind of spun out of that. Now MAC is definitely one of my favorite brands. I absolutely love it. But the first two products from MAC I'm going to talk about are Ruby Woo and Rebel, the lipsticks. I just remember that these two lipsticks were so hyped when they were released or re-released, or if it hit fall, you had to have Rebel, and if you wanted a perfect red, you had to have Ruby Woo. I remember, I don't really remember buying Rebel, what the story was about that. I just knew that it was super hyped and that I wanted it. Ruby Woo, however, I had already purchased Russian Red from MAC and I loved it. I pretty much wasn't in the market for another red, and then I kept hearing if you love blue toned red, you have to have Ruby Woo, and everybody kept talking about it, so I was pretty much bullied into buying it. But no, it is really good. It's super drying, but I mean, it's a matte lipstick, so it doesn't really bother me. Next up, I have the MAC Dazzle Glass in Gone Romancin'. Yet again, I wasn't really pressured or felt like I needed to have this particular shade. This was just something that I got at, I think it's I can't remember what the names of the store is, but it's where you can get cheaper cosmetics, and they sell a lot of MAC. And I remember I got this in Orlando when I went to Disney World when I was a sophomore in high school, and I just was like so excited because I was getting a Dazzle Gloss from MAC and everything else. And like now I hate lip gloss, so like this never gets used, and this is actually going back to MAC like next week. But yeah, I definitely was like pretty much like if you want a lip gloss, you need a Dazzle Gloss or like a lip gloss from MAC. So next up we have MAC paint pots. I never bought like Painterly or Soft Ochre or anything like that because the first paint pot I ever bought was Vintage Selection. This also I got at the whatever it's called, I can't remember what it's called, but now it's like super dried out and definitely going back to MAC. I don't know, I never really loved cream eyeshadow bases. They just never really did it for me. I just never found like, people always said like MAC paint pots are like the only thing that will keep my eyeshadow on, like no other primer does it, and like they just don't. My eyeshadow definitely creases when I use paint pots or any kind of cream shadow, so I have gotten rid of all of my cream bases just because I don't use them. But I do remember everybody talking about paint pots and how I just felt like I needed to have at least one. Next up, we have the MAC Pro Longwear Concealer. This concealer, I just remember being super hyped up, super loved by everyone I watched, and it is really, really, really good. I still love this concealer. I still use it when I have super bad breakouts because it covers everything. If you need anything to be covered, this is your best friend, and the hype was definitely like worth it on this one. Next up, we have my MAC Mineralized Skin Finish Natural in Light Plus. This I also bought with the Dazzle Glass and the paint pot all at once. I made a huge purchase and I still love this. At first, I hated this stuff. I don't really know why. I just felt like it didn't like set for some reason. Like I felt like if I touched my face throughout the day, powder came back, and I don't know what I was doing back then because I definitely don't have that issue now. So it like kind of scares me. I'm like, how much were you putting on your face? But no, I do really love this. I think it is still like well talked about and well loved in the YouTube community, and for a good reason because it's so good. Next up, we're going to talk about one of my most recent inspired YouTube buys, and that is the MAC Prep and Prime Fix Plus. This took me years to buy, obviously. I used to use the Urban Decay, the D-Slick one, and I think that was also a YouTube buy, but this one, I've heard for years, like 5 years on watching YouTube about how great this is, and I finally just bit the bullet and bought it, and I completely agree. It's amazing. Not only does it set your makeup, but it like depowders your makeup. Like it just makes it look so smooth and so nice, and definitely worth the hype. Next up, we have the Blue Brown Pigment from MAC. I don't know if you remember this. I don't think, I've heard like people mention MAC pigments like tan and stuff, but I haven't quite heard this one. But everyone I personally watched had this pigment and was just doing like amazing things with it. Like I just remember I saw it on the website first, and I remember being like, that's really weird, but really cool. And then all of a sudden, I just saw all these videos like, oh, like tutorial with MAC Blue Brown Pigment and everything else, and I was just like, okay, I have to have it. And I actually bought this in like January. I finally just like bought it off of my wish list, and it's so pretty. It is just the coolest thing. Like, it's not the most wearable eyeshadow in the world, but it is beautiful. And lastly, from the MAC part of this video, we have MAC eyeshadow palettes. I just remember from the very beginning of watching YouTube, everybody had a MAC eyeshadow palette and everybody was like raving about MAC shadows, and it took me a really, really long time to finally be like, you know what, I need a MAC palette. So I got this one. This is one of the pre-made ones from Nordstrom that were pretty popular a couple months ago. I actually got this one for Christmas, and then I'm still in the process of making this. I just forget to buy the individual shadows. It's really nice now that they're only $6, but it's just not something that I think of straight off to buy, but they are really decent quality. I don't think they're the best quality ever, but I do just love them, and I love building the palette, and I love the way they look. Like, I don't know, it's like candy, and it's just really pretty to look at. I love it. So tons of my foundation purchases have been YouTube induced, and I don't know, like a lot of my favorite ones actually. So I have quite a few to talk about. So I'm just going to jump right in. The first one being the only one that I really, really don't like, and that is Revlon Color Stay. Everybody loved this. Like, everybody I watched was like, if you want a YouTube or a drugstore foundation, get Revlon Color Stay, and everybody talked about it. Everybody loved it. It's fine. I got rid of it. This is actually just gonna go straight back into my declutter bin to like pass on to other people. It's okay. It's just not something amazing, and it just definitely wasn't worth the hype for me, so I am just going to be passing this on. But I do remember like feeling like I needed this foundation in my collection, and I used it like 3 times before I was like, no. Next up, we have my first ever high-end foundation purchase. This is pretty much gone now. This is the Makeup Forever HD foundation. This was just super loved when I first started watching YouTube. This is the old formula. I don't really know how the new one is. I don't intend on repurchasing this, but I just remember everybody talking about it and just feeling like that was the one. That and NARS Sheer Glow. And because I have oily skin, I was like, oh, I'll go with this one. And I do really like it. It worked really well for me. I just remember being really happy with it for a really long time. But yeah, it's just kind of grew out of it. It's not my favorite anymore. Going along with Makeup Forever foundations, this is the Matte Velvet Plus. This is another one that I just remember getting super hyped up on YouTube, just at least with the creators I watched. This was just really well loved. People just never stopped talking about this. I had YouTubers that had literally like 6 different bottles of it at any one time, just of different shades and stuff like that, and backups and stuff. And I just remember looking at it and being like, I need that. Like every oily skinned YouTuber talked about Matte Velvet Plus, and it's still really good, and I still really, really like it, even though like nobody talks about it. It's amazing. Next up, we have Chanel Vitalumiere Aqua. This is another one that everyone I watched at one point had this and loved it, and every tutorial get ready with me or favorites video featured this foundation, and I just remember being like, I can't have a Chanel foundation, like that's way too much, like that's just way too much. And I got it for Christmas one year, and it is really good. It is definitely my favorite foundation ever, and I just feel like it always looks good on the skin no matter what you do with it. So definitely worth the hype and the money because it's really good. Next up, we have Estee Lauder Double Wear. This was another one that is super hyped on YouTube and just YouTube induced, and one of my favorites easily. I just really, really like it, and I know a lot of people have talked about it. Next up is one that occurred to me, like I looked at it and I just remembered how badly I felt like I needed this, and this is the Tarte Amazonian Clay Full Coverage Airbrush Foundation. I just remember, I don't even think it was that many YouTubers. I just remember it was like a select few really loved this, and I talked about how it melted into your skin and how great it was, and how it had the like mesh thing instead of a sifter, and it had like that really dense brush, which I have and I don't have like in my hand right now. But I remember like I felt like I needed this, and I felt like I needed the brush, and I was like, I just need it. I just have to have it because I have oily skin, and all these YouTubers have oily skin, and they're telling me that it melts into my skin and makes my skin look beautiful, blah, 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 blah. I just remember I went on a frenzy for this and the brush that accompanies it, and I never do that. So the fact that I did both like kind of illustrates how badly I felt like I needed to have it. Moving on to concealing products, we have NARS Creamy Concealer. This is another one that I feel like everyone has mentioned just because it is one that everybody talks about. It's my favorite concealer ever, and it definitely deserves the hype that it has. It's great for under the eyes. I just really, really love it. Like, I think my color, yeah, mine's in Chantilly, the lightest shade, but this was one I was so excited to finally get just because everybody talks about it. Everybody. Now we have Bare Minerals Well Rested, and this went through a phase of YouTube. Like, a lot of products have just like phases on YouTube where they're talked about a lot, and I remember during that phase I just needed this. I had not yet gotten into concealer all that much and like doing the under eyes and everything else, so when everybody started talking about this and how great this was, I was just like, yeah, like I'm gonna need it. It is a little dark for me actually because I am so pale, so I don't like to wear it on top of liquid product. To wear this over top other product, but it definitely looks really good on its own on no makeup days and stuff like that. But I do remember this getting quite a lot of hype from the YouTubers I was watching at the time, so yeah. Okay, so obviously this is a different day. I was editing this and realized that I didn't include one of the main products that I bought because of YouTube, and that would be the NARS Orgasm Blush. I know a ton of people have talked about it in these videos, but my experience with the blush was the same as a lot of other people, as in I saw it on YouTube and really wanted it. However, I no longer have the blush, and I'm going to tell you a really quick story as to why. So I bought the blush about 6 months after I started getting into YouTube and makeup, which was my sophomore year of high school. I was super excited to have it. I wore it a few times, really was into it, and then I kind of forgot about it. I bought other things. I fell really in love with other products, things like that. So flash forward to my senior year of high school. It was Valentine's Day. I was going to go out to dinner with my boyfriend, and it was so like, oh, I'm so excited. So I was doing my makeup, and I decided to wear the Orgasm blush because I was like, oh wow, like I haven't worn this in a while. I'll wear this. So I put it on, forgot about it. All good, looked great. So we get to dinner. I'm eating my salad. Everything's fine. And I start feeling kind of itchy, and like I just felt like there was like one spot, like I'd been bit by like a bug. And I was thinking like, what if there's like a spider in my jacket or something like that? Because like that's how I am. I automatically go to like, oh my god, I'm being attacked by bugs. So that kind of went away, and I was like, oh, I forgot about it. It was fine. After dinner, we decided to go hang out on his boat. So we get to the boat, and things are getting kind of hot and heavy, like as you do on Valentine's Day in high school. And basically we were kissing, and he like pulled back, and he looked at me, and he was like, oh my god. And I was like, what? And he's like, you're like really red, and it looks like you have like hives or something. So I get a mirror, and it's right up through here on both sides, bright red, super itchy. And you know, I hadn't been thinking about it, but all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, it like kind of burns, and like it's just really bad. So he's like freaking out, and like I'm taking off my makeup, and I took off my entire like face of makeup, and he got me like a warm towel to like put it on there and like calm it down, and it went away. So like the rest of the night goes on, and like it was fine. And then the next day I was like thinking about it, and I was like, what was that? Like obviously it was allergic reaction to my makeup, like something on my makeup. And I started thinking about it. I was like, well, it was like right where I would put blush. So I immediately was like, I guess I'm allergic to the Orgasm blush. Which is weird just because like I had worn it before and nothing had ever happened, but for some reason it seemed like in the year that I hadn't touched it, it had either changed some way or I had developed kind of like a insensitivity to it. So anyway, I ended up never touching it again. Like I just didn't have any desire to put it on. I never really even wanted to like test to see if it was that. But I know that I have used the other products I had on my face since then, and nothing's ever happened. I have passed on the blush because it was still good to a friend, and she has had no problems with it. She really likes it. But that is my experience with the NARS Orgasm blush. So obviously I would say it wasn't worth the money. It was worth the money in that it was beautiful, but not in the worth of the money in the fact that I guess I'm allergic to powder products from NARS, and I have never bought another powder product from NARS because I'm very just like nervous about it, and I've googled it, and I've seen other people who are also allergic to it. So whatever's in that, I'm just like, I'm not interested in. Next up, we have the Becca highlighter in Champagne Pop. This is definitely a more recent hyped up product, but I feel like everybody and their mother was talking about this. I had the Becca highlight in Moonstone for a really long time, and I didn't feel like I needed anything else, like the Opal or anything else. And this just wasn't going away. Like this just, and it still isn't going away. Like it's still one of the most talked about highlighters that I know of, but everybody loved this, everybody had it, and I just felt like I needed to have it. So I finally actually got it for Christmas like this past year, and it is really good. Next up, we have the Hourglass Ambient Lighting Palette. This was so hyped up when it first came out. Like I think I paid an obscene amount of money to buy this because it went out of stock on Sephora and wasn't coming back, and I spent an obscene amount of money because I thought it was limited edition, and now it's just always there, which is kind of sad, but it's whatever. I just felt like I needed this so insanely badly because everybody was talking about how amazing these powders were and how amazing they made your skin look and everything else, and I can't use the darkest shade. Well, I could use the darkest shade, I just don't. But this one and this one are my favorite. This is Dim Light and Incandescent Light. They're definitely my favorite ones. I use them all over my face to give my face a really nice glow. I didn't do that today. That's what I forgot to do. They're just some of my holy grail powders and hyped up by YouTube. Next up, we have the Kat Von D Contour Kit. This and the Anastasia one I went back and forth with so hard because everybody was talking about both of them at the time, and I really didn't know what I wanted. And then right after I bought this, it came out like, you don't need a contour kit, you just need one good color. And they're right, you don't need a contour kit. It's just too many shades. You're never going to use all of them. I literally think I used like one shade of this, and that's this one. So pretty much I could just find my perfect contour shade. Next up we have the Anastasia Dip Brow. Pretty much all of the Anastasia products were inspired by YouTube for me, including the Brow Wiz. If I wanted to do my brows, I just thought Anastasia was the only way to go, because it kind of was back then. Like, they really did have the best brow products, and now there's so many brands that do really great brow products, but back then, like, it was Anastasia. And I remember when the Dip Brow came out, everybody freaked out. And I bought this, and I actually bought it in the wrong color initially, and I went back and returned it and got a new one. And I thought I looked insane. I hated it. I was like, I don't like my brows being darker than my hair color, and I don't like them being super intense. And obviously, I love super intense, crazy brows now, and this is what I use. Last up, we're gonna talk about lip products, and the first lip product I'm gonna talk about is the Tarte Glamazon Pure Performance Lipstick in Wild. When these first hit the market, people went crazy for them, because I think it was right around the time where PR stuff really like had taken off and people were getting sent like full collections of stuff. And I remember I had so many YouTubers that had the full collection of this, the Pure Glamazon ones, or the Glamazon Pure Performance lipsticks. And the red shade, I had not yet bought a red lipstick yet, and there was just something about it. I would see people be like, oh, Wild's great, Wild's great, Wild's great. And so I bit the bullet and bought the $28 lipstick. And I used it for quite a while. This was my only red lipstick before I got Russian Red, and even then I would use this under Russian Red because this is a matte one, and I just felt, and it definitely lasts longer. But I just remember everybody talking about this line of lipsticks and how great it was, and I felt like I just needed every color, and it is a decent formula. I'm not even sure if they make these anymore, but I just remember when they first came out, I just felt like I needed one. Next up, we have the Obsessive Compulsive Cosmetics Lip Tars. These were super, super hyped. I remember like people would go to IMATS and come back with crazy shades of them and being like, oh my gosh, you can mix them and then use them with a brush. And then when they hit Sephora, people were really excited. But I do remember back in the IMATS days, every time someone came back from IMATS, they'd come back with like 10 of these shades. And I got this in a set from Sephora, and I've pretty much never used it. They're too runny for me. When they say liquid, they mean liquid, and this has been decluttered and will go back in the declutter pile. And last up, we have the YSL Rouge Volupte lipsticks. People went crazy for these. They're gorgeous, and I just remember thinking, actually this isn't the last product, second to last product. I just remember thinking that like for luxury brands, they looked so nice and so worth the money. Like everyone would put it on, and it was so creamy and so perfect. And I remember this was my first one. This is in 8, and then this was the second one I got, and this is 1. This is the new, really nude one. And I've never regretted either of these purchases. I don't really wear this one as much because it's a really nice nude, but people freaked out for these more than any other luxury lipstick, I'm gonna say, because I have watched other people talk about Tom Ford lipsticks and Charlotte Tilbury lipsticks, but like everybody had YSL Rouge Volupte, and they were just so raved about, and I love them. They're so pretty, but for the price tag, I can get like 2 MAC lipsticks or like 4, 5 ColourPop lipsticks, so. And the very last product I'm going to talk about today is Sigma brushes. Mine are disgustingly dirty and they're going to get washed today, but I haven't gotten around to doing that. People loved Sigma brushes. People talk about them still a little bit today, but not nearly as much as they used to. Everybody had Sigma brushes, everybody had Sigma makeup, and everybody talked about it all the time because Sigma sent them a ton of PR packages and affiliate links and all that stuff. But I just remember feeling like that's not one. I just remember feeling like I needed, that's not one either. Got a ton of non-Sigma brushes in here. I just remember feeling like I needed Sigma brushes. It actually took me until like last year to get a set just because I didn't want to spend that much on brushes, but it is worth it to get yourself a nice set of brushes. Even if they're not Sigma, it's definitely worth it. They're good. I know people have said that they have like gone down in quality. I don't notice these being poor quality, but yet again, I've never really owned a nice set of brushes before them. So those are all of the products that YouTube made me buy. Comment, like, subscribe, all the normal stuff, and let me know what YouTube made you buy. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Bye.